Okay, so we're going to do a video on this brand new NexusRV 27 Viper. It's about 28 foot long. We bought it straight from the factory, and today I'm going to just go over, I'm going to try not to do any company bashing, although there's a lot there. But I'm just going to go over how this thing has been modified and how it's been repaired and what we're going to do next. And this is for mostly the people on the user group asking, and then a few other people on some of my YouTube channels. So it is a good unit. The Ford chassis, everything is good. I know a lot of people have had no problems at all, but I've had nothing but problems. And we'll have a video next after this discussing those things. So we're going to go over the modifications and then the repairs and then what we're going to do next. So modifications, the very first thing that we had was this thing was needed a front end alignment. That's part of the repairs part, but we changed all the shocks to Bilstein shocks, and we replaced the steering stabilizer with a Bilstein stabilizer. We went from a stabilizer that was a box this big to something that's that big. I went from having to drive it like this to driving it with my thumb. So it's very, very, very nice. So that's the very first thing that we did. The next thing we did, I'll show you over here. This is the battery bay, and all these bays here, we changed out the locks, the older locks. That's part of the repair part too, but the older locks the locks that came with it were the 751 locks. 741, I forget what the name is, but it's the locks everybody has a key to. And they didn't fit, so we changed them out to these barrel locks to 751.com, and this is a new door. The repair place broke this door. These, I can probably fit 6 batteries in here, but I got 4 6-volt AGM batteries. So I got 4 6-volt AGM batteries. They are I think 225 or 230 amp hour each. And if you take a look in here, I might have to look in this back corner here, inside this wall. This compartment here, these are doors that you can now get into. This was sheet metal, and behind this door are the solenoid for the charger from the alternator and a bunch of fuses you cannot get to. This was all sheet metaled out. Now these 2 doors are here that I can get into. So they put that here. Under new modifications, we're going to put a shunt monitor here for the future. You can see I could probably fit a couple really good batteries back there, but I'm not going to, because I like the room in there. So if you go up here, this used to be where the inverter was. The inverter was right here. You can see there's the holes all plugged up. This was, if you look all the way down there, that far away from the batteries. So the gauge of wire they were using was much too small. Not for amperage, but for voltage loss. And so they put the inverter here with too small of a wire going all the way there. So because of the voltage loss, the amplifier would trip off with low voltage. Not low amperage, but low voltage. So they had to move this over there and rewire everything. So that's it's a 3,000 watt AIMS inverter. Nexus kept on talking about how the Magnum inverters didn't need that, but they didn't give us Magnum inverter, they gave us this one. So I'm not going to go on the roof, but you can see that right there, there's a cell phone booster right there, and there's 640 watts of solar panels. So I have 640 watts. That goes into a 60 amp charger. That was all wired correctly, so that was good. Come over here. Okay, so this is where the inverter is now. Right by, on the opposite side of this is the opposite side of this is the batteries. So this is our Ames inverter right here. It's all plugged in. What's happening is the shore power and the generator goes into a transfer switch, and whatever is coming through that transfer switch goes into this. This is the AC for the whole coach, the output. This has a built-in transfer switch and it has a built-in charger. So this is charging my batteries and taking the output of the transfer switch between shore and generator into this. Out of it goes the AC to the rest of the coach. So if this fails, I have a bypass and I can bypass it, but I will show you that. This right here, let's see if I can. This right here is the 30 amp external plugs for the, if I have external solar panels, this goes to the 30 amp charger. So I could put external solar panels on and set them right out here on right by the coach, and they can or underneath, and that'll give us even more solar if we want it. Right now I don't know that I'm going to need it, but we're setting this whole thing up for boondocking, so I don't like to be cramped in RV parks, but you know, we're probably going to be eventually sometimes. But anyhow, so, and you'll see there's also a battery bypass, a switch here, the bypass there. We put one here because the other one did not hook up correctly. So this one, and the one you see inside are connected in parallel, so I can bypass some of this. So you'll see that. Let's go inside. So it's the beginning of March, and it's cold, and the sun is low, and you'll see I have 13.6 amps. I'm not in Arizona, and during the summer, this can get up to, I think, 54 amps. So this is our 60 watt charger. This is our 30 watt charger for the external. So the 30 watt charger, it's got 0 amps in it. So there's nothing coming in, right? And so this is 13.8 amps. That's half of my unit's power right there, 14 amps. So the whole unit is 30 amps. So this thing is right now charging at half that. Of course, there's no load on this, so if the batteries, once I put a load on this, this will go down and put less to the batteries, etc. So the solar will actually run everything while it's charging the batteries. So all that stuff is working fine. This is the other bypass switch, so both of these work. Let's come in here and let's talk about the repairs to the bed here. So so you'll see down here, this is the unit, all the switches and stuff. We're missing the door for this, so I'm going to have to call them about the door for this. But this is a little meter I put in for AC. I'm also going to put one in for the battery. But you see it's pulling 0 amps right now. Nothing's being used. I'll turn on this refrigerator, right? So the gas, this button would be out if I was going to do gas, but it's not. It's in. And I'll turn this on for auto. And eventually you'll see that 0 down there. It takes about a minute. So you see it just went to 1.2 amps. So now you know that the refrigerator is running. So this refrigerator is now cooling down right off the batteries. We're not hooked up to shore power at all. So the microwave. So if I You see the microwave is on, and if you look down here at the amps, it's pulling right out of the inverter, the batteries. This is not hooked up to shore power, so this is working. You can see it hasn't stopped. So I turn it off, it goes back to the 1.2. I can tell exactly how much is coming off that inverter or shore power, whatever, for the AC portion here. I'll show you my my solution for figuring out the state of the batteries here in a second. So all that is fixed. So let's take a look at. Can you see these? Can you see these very well? Okay. So this only half this side. This is a 50 amp breaker box, and they use this for both the 50 and the 30 amp units. I guess it just saves them in parts, but only half this side was being used. There is another sub panel under this bed that they were using, and it was unnecessary. There's a bunch of stuff that was under the bed that was all unnecessary, and so we took that sub panel out and we put it in here. So we use these for the inverter and the microwave and the converter. The converter is not necessary. The Nexus put that inverter in there that has its own charger that is more capable than this inverter. This inverter was on this side right here was wired incorrectly and was melting the wires. And what we did is we wired it correctly and we put it in as a backup. So one of these breakers will turn that inverter on and hook it up. Right now it's not hooked up. I have one switch, and then I can put this converter in line and have it charging as well. But there's no need for that. So it's been wired now as a backup to the inverter in case the inverter fails. So all that's working. The fuse problems. The bathroom lights are actually hooked up to the bedroom fuse, and the bedroom is hooked up to the monoxide and the bathroom together, and so those were all mixed up. So they were just labeled wrong. So I got to get that door back from them. But anyhow, so that is that. We do have the shower needs. We caulked the shower. It was leaking, so we have not checked that yet. We're going to check that. Coming over here, what we're doing here is down in the battery bay. I did a video on this unit here. This is going to be hooked up to the battery down in the battery bay, and we're just going to put this onto the floor and hook this up. And what that will do is we have this unit here. It's wireless, but just in case the wireless is not working that great, we're going to stretch this through here and put this probably put this right here. And what this does, if you take a look at this will tell me that X means it's not connected to the other part I showed you. It'll tell me exactly where the state of the battery. It'll show me exactly how many amp hours I've used or have left, how many watts, etc. I can set a low voltage cutoff if I bought a relay for this switch. Just shut the whole thing off. This little thing, $29. All I have to do is hook it up myself. So we will be putting this thing in. Okay, and so the other thing is we have a Roku here. This we put that Roku in, and that Roku hooks up to here. We also over here, you'll see I have a DVD player that I installed myself, and then right here I have a booster for the cell booster. So the cell phone booster comes in here. There's an internal antenna that I'll put over here, and we'll use, and that's how we're going to get our internet. So they say it's 54 dB. I've only been getting about 20 dB gain from that, but that's still a lot. So you know, when you don't have internet, then you don't have internet. So it's on AC right now. I may rewire it to DC up to that light or something. But anyhow. Okay, so we did have 3 flat tires, and Nexus took care of 2 of those at the factory. The other one they reimbursed us for with our word that there were screws in it, and it did take 3 months, but they didn't reimburse us. What they didn't reimburse us for is the steering being the alignment being out. These things are all misaligned. They say they align them after they put all this stuff together, but there's a lot of people on the user group that says that is not true. It certainly wasn't for us. The window, the motor for the window, that switch there to roll the window up and down, that was broken, so we replaced that switch. The awning had a broken ground in it, and there's a video of me repairing that. Nexus talked me through that. One of their engineers that aren't there anymore, but she talked me through that, and we fixed that part. And I talked about the shower leaking. We have not tested that yet. Also going to we have on order the tire pressure monitors. So we'll probably put that up here in the dash someplace. But we're going to have tire pressure monitors for all the tires, and then we're also towing the Harley behind our vehicle at some point when we can afford the trailer for it. We're going to have a nice trailer with batteries and all sorts of stuff, extra stuff and things. So I think that does it for our modifications and repairs. Our next video may be about, you know, lessons learned that we learned buying our first RV, and it won't be a Nexus bashing thing, but they definitely will be discussed in that. So things to look out for. You know, one thing, if you're doing your research, don't do it all from their website, even if they have 50 testimonials. That's 50 people that they cherry-picked to do those things. So I definitely will go through that, and that'll be, I don't know, a month to whatever. We're about ready to have our first maiden voyage of this thing since we got it back. We'll take off and do different things, and we'll do a quick little voyage and show you how it all works. We'll probably post that after we're all done. It's all fixed. Everything's working. A couple little modifications left. The battery thing and the tire pressure thing. We also ordered a little air compressor to store in the bottom, and we may do a video on packing the thing up and get some not to show you how, but maybe to get some input on did we pack too much, did we are missing things. I guess we'll figure it out in time, but so we'll probably do that next. Okay, so everything's fixed. 15.6 amps, 15.7, 15.8. That's half the coach's power. And of course, there's no load, so this may go away if the. I guess those batteries were kind of low.
It's almost at 18.
13.6 volts right now, so they're totally full. Yep. So, oh, holy crud!
I know it keeps going up. 18 now.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's getting sunnier. I mean, okay. Well, I mean, that's pretty good for winter when in the morning when the sun's at a kind of a low angle. I I can't imagine what it's going to do in Arizona during the summer at high noon. It'll probably be up at 50 amps. But yeah, it's got a 60 amp breaker, so if it hits 60 amps, it'll break. The electrical was not easy because there was no rhyme and reason for how it was set up initially. The design was kind of bad. The converter was hooked up totally incorrectly, and the wires were melted when it got left plugged in. So I just want to do a shout out to Atlantic RV in Culperper, Culperper, Virginia. Atlantic RV. You know, they went through this thing, and like all the other repair shops, they have a backlog of things. They do a lot of body work. They're rebuilding things from scratch. They do conversions. They do a whole bunch of stuff. So they have done that in the past. They went through this whole coach and tried to figure it out, and at the end decided that it was better just to install it as if it was a new install, and that way they found a whole bunch of problems. And they fixed all this stuff, and so they're like one of those people that will work on it, make sure it's fixed correctly, and you know, they do a good job, and they seem to be very good people of their words, and hard workers. So there's only 4 of them or 5 of them in that shop, and they all work on the same unit at the same time, put their heads together, and actually crank out all the repairs necessary. When we first went in there and talked to them, a guy came out from the back of the back maintenance room and was asking about which screws to use, and they were talking about which ones would look nicer and stuff. I was like, that's the type of quality we are looking for, and a lot of you are looking for too. So so I wanted to make that shout out to Atlantic RV in Culperper. So, 16.2 amps. Wow, you're good. Okay, so these are some of the things they found in the bed underneath the water, even underneath the water tank. Screws underneath there, so the rubbing back and forth would have eventually, this is all the stuff that Nexus left in there. This is the melted, you can see how melted that is. That is the melted, this was the positive to the converter, but instead of being hooked to the converter like it should have been, based on the manufacturer installation guide, it was hooked to this recharge wire, which you can see it's completely melted, of a different gauge, and just wing nut like this. And so that was all taken apart and installed correctly. So this was actually wired bad. Anyhow, this is some of the stuff that they found underneath the bed. There was a lot more stuff, and they threw away a lot of stuff, and they vacuumed and did all sorts of good stuff. So just to let you know, that's